Hello, I'm Deb Novotny. I'm a licensed battlefield guide here at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And I'm going to tell the story of my favorite person in the cemetery. I have a lot of favorites, but I like this man and his story. His name is John Ackerman, and he was a member of the 82nd Illinois. We didn't have many Illinois regiments at Gettysburg. There were two cavalry and one infantry. But he was in the 11th Corps and arrived at Gettysburg in the afternoon of the 1st of July. His unit was told to go out north of the town of Gettysburg. And they fought out there for about 3 hours, were flanked by the Confederates, and were pushed back to this hill, which was called Cemetery Hill because of the Evergreen Cemetery, which is behind me, the town graveyard here at Gettysburg. So John was here with his outfit, the 82nd. I want to tell you just a little bit about that regiment. Some people call it the Regiment of Immigrants because there were a lot of Germans in the outfit. There were Swedes, Norwegians, Danes, and some Swiss. And John Ackerman was actually born in Switzerland. It's either 1835 or 1836, two different sources giving two different dates. When he came to the United States, I don't have that information just yet. But he made his home out near Chicago, Illinois, Cook County, where a lot of the immigrants ended up, the Germans especially in that area. So when 1862 came, and there was a call for Lincoln's calling for another group of men to volunteer, since this wasn't going to be just a 3-month war, and he needed more than 75,000 soldiers. And that's when John Ackerman enlisted in Company K. His captain was Joseph Greenhut, and he too was an immigrant to the United States. And I found out an interesting thing about his captain, and I want to tell you a little bit about him because he's part of the story, John's story. He, after the war, got into the distillery business, making whiskey, and he actually got one of these chemists to come to the United States, and he was from Japan. I can't remember his name right now. But anyway, he helped him with his distillery business, but then got a job someplace else in the country, and he ended up becoming pretty rich because he got in with the Park Davis Drug Company. So he became a millionaire, this Japanese man, and he had so much money that he, with the mayor of Tokyo, Japan, donated the cherry trees that, of course, we love to see the blossoms on the tidal basin near the Jefferson Memorial. So if Joseph Greenhut didn't invite this Japanese chemist to the United States, we might not enjoy that festival that they have every year in Washington, D.C. So it's the evening of the second day of the battle. 82nd Illinois was positioned just about right here. And the Confederate sharpshooters were coming in up the hill, getting a little bit too close. So the lieutenant colonel, his name was Solomon, he and John were both Jewish, by the way, and there was a company C of the 82nd, that was 100% Jewish. So the lieutenant colonel said that he said, "Captain, I want you to get some volunteers and chase those Confederate sharpshooters back into town." Well, John Ackerman was known in his regiment as one of the bravest men. He always volunteered for the most dangerous jobs. So Captain Greenhut said, "I need 10 volunteers." And he looks right at John Ackerman. John Ackerman is not putting his hand up. Captain said, "What's wrong, John?" John said, "I have a premonition, Captain, that if I go with you, I'll be killed. So don't make me go." And of course, the captain said, "John, I'm not going to make you go." He got his 10 volunteers. They headed down Baltimore Street to push the Confederate sharpshooters closer to the center of town, or at the bottom of the hill anyway. He came back after the mission was over, and the captain's looking around and says, "Where's John Ackerman?" one of the soldiers said, "Oh, Captain, John Ackerman was hit by a piece of shrapnel and he was killed." He had that premonition, and it came true. Whether he would have been shot if he went down the street to push those Confederates back, I don't know. So John was buried here, and according to one of my fellow guides, he might be buried just about where he fell. This was the position where the 82nd Illinois was. Now, 7 years ago, we had the 150th anniversary of the Battle of Gettysburg, and I remember a 4th of July having a van load of a Jewish school. It was probably 9 or 10, and the rabbi, Michael Panitz was his name, he said he wanted to hear some Jewish stories. So I didn't know many Jewish stories at that time in 2013, and I asked one of my fellow guides, Ed Guy, because he knows so many good stories, and he's willing to share. Can you tell me some Jewish stories? So he told me about John Ackerman. So that's how I learned about John Ackerman. So the end of the tour, I brought that school here, and I told the story of John. And then when I was finished, the rabbi said, "Can we say a prayer here?" So those 9 or 10 got into a circle right here and said a Jewish prayer. I think it was in Hebrew, and then he also had them say it in English, the Jewish prayer for the dead. And talk about things you'll never forget when it happens on your tour. Channel 8, our local Lancaster TV station, was doing some interviews with people because I think it was right on the 4th of July. And the reporter came over to me as they were saying the prayer, and he said, "Do you think he would give me a short interview? I hate to interrupt your tour." But I said, "You can ask." So there was that interview with Rabbi Panitz and the local TV station, and it was on television. John Ackerman.